I think I know what's in his hand. It's probably a Bistia. Hello everyone, welcome to a new Dr. Vash video slash stream where we're going to be playing Dogmatika. So this deck right here, I've played it a couple of times in the past, but the reason why we're coming back to this deck is because of this card right here, Dogmatika Albazoa. We're just going to go over a quick deck profile, but the main goal of this deck is to snipe as many cards from our opponent's extra deck as possible. And as long as we're not playing tier elements, even tier elements can't keep up with the extra deck loss now. So the reason why I didn't play this deck during tier element tier 0 format is because it doesn't hit enough extra deck cards for it to be viable in that format. So like with previously White Knight of Dogmatika and White Relic of Dogmatika, you can only snap around 3 to 4 cards in the extra deck per turn, which is good. But it's not that good against decks like Tier Elements is because they have too many problem cards. Like almost every card in their extra deck can be used to win them the game. So if I'm sniping only 4 cards per turn and they have 11 other cards that can still win the game, you essentially can't beat them, especially since your cards are so weak and they can do so much. And no, they did not kill tier elements. They made them weaker. I'm going to definitely do a video of tier elements just to show off their powers and that they're not gutter at all. They nerfed a bunch of cards around tier elements, but they didn't hit them exactly. That's why they banned cards like Terraforming. Terraforming died for that deck sins. Cyberstein, another card that died for its sins. Into the deck profile. We have 1 copy of Effect Veiler. I was thinking about running more. If you have more copies of Effect Veiler, I would say run it, because Effect Veiler is a very powerful card in this deck, especially since stopping 1 or 2 cards is pretty much all that you need to keep going. The next card is Max C. We have 2 copies of it because Max C is Max C. 1 copy of Diviner the Herald. Honestly, I feel like this card should be at 3, and the only reason why I don't run it at 3 is because I don't want to spare any more UR points on Diviner the Herald. I mean, I got this card luckily, but I'm not going to craft any more because even though this card is really good in the deck, you can run this deck without Diviner. Triple copies of Ash Blossom because we need that 1 stop. Triple copies of Ecclesia. So Ecclesia on summon searches out any Dogmatika card, and we're pretty much always going to search out for Dogmatika Matrix. 2 copies of Floridalis and 2 copies of Maximus. This card is a negate if there's an extra deck monster on field. And this card, we both send 2 cards from our extra deck to the graveyard and we both choose. So this is 2 cards out of the extra deck right here. I want to, put an imaginary counter on this side. And then 1 copy of Ashian. So every time a card hits the extra deck, we can summon this card from the hand, and this recycles our Dogmatika cards. 1 copies of Evil Twins, Kishikil and Lila. So the reason why this card is a Garnet for this extra deck card that can non-targeting send a card from the field to the grave. It doesn't come up very often, but when it does come up, like this will save you from losing games. 1 copy of White Relic and 1 copy of White Knight. I used to run 2, but I was bricking so hard with them that I just cut it down to 1. I just couldn't handle it anymore. You can increase them to 2, but you're probably going to brick and you only want 1 of them on field, because as you can tell, they are both insanely weak. 1 copy of Dogmatika Albazoa. So this card right here is pretty much the whole deck now. So Dogmatika in the past struggled with 3 big issues. First issue is your opponent can interact with your board a little bit too much. So like with White Knight of Dogmatika, you can just lose White Knight by them going to like Nightmare Cerberus and just discarding a card and destroying it. But now with Dogmatika Albazoa, our cards are unaffected by the activated effects of Fusion, Synchro, Xyz, and Link monsters. Pendulum cards to still get around it, but that rarely shows up nowadays. And then the second issue that this card solves is hitting the extra deck really hard. So one of its effects is your opponent can choose one of two effects on activation. The first effect is for every 2 cards in their extra deck, they must send 1 card from their hand or extra deck to the graveyard. Which, unless you're playing against Tier Elements, which will pretty much always opt to discard their whole hand, this card will make it so your opponent has to send 7 cards from their extra deck to the grave, which is insane. And since they will choose the cards, it pretty much it fixes you're not hitting enough cards. So it goes from, now I can only hit 4 cards per turn. Now it goes, I can hit 2 plus 7 plus another one if my opponent activates a card, plus 1 from Dogmatika Matrix, making that 10 cards on the first turn if your opponent plays their turn wrong, or plays your turn wrong. Which I'm sure you know, as Yu-Gi-Oh players, losing 10 cards from your extra deck and I get to choose 2 of them, that is, after you lose 8 cards, you're trying to stick with your most important cards. That I snipe them out with White Knight and Dogmatika Matrix, and White Knight can still snipe another card in their extra deck during their turn. So that's 11 cards out of an extra deck, and I choose what they keep. So I'll let them have their really bad extra deck cards that need to that can't really combo. But I mean, hitting 10 cards is very rare. On average, you just summon Albazoa and you call it a turn, or you summon Albazoa and you summon Maximus and you snipe 9 cards from their, or 10 cards from their extra deck. So that's 10 cards just being gone. That's absolutely insane. But you can still, and then the last thing that this card solves is the issue of attack. So all the Dogmatika cards are weak except for Floridalis, but sometimes you can't summon her. So just having a 4,000 attack and defense monster who you can give 4,000 attack to another card too is absolutely insane, and that's pretty much exactly what this deck needed. This deck doesn't have very good protection, so you can Raigeki and Dark Hole, anything or even evenly match this deck. But even then, the damage is done. There's almost no recovery for your opponent after losing 10, 12 cards from the extra deck. We run 1 copies of Harpies and 1 copies of Monster Reborn, because you can actually reborn all of your rituals. So that's why I keep 1 copy of Monster Reborn. So you can look at their extra deck, snipe a card. And White Relic also can snipe a card in the extra deck if your opponent summons a card from the extra deck. So they have to summon first and then you snipe a card from the extra deck, which is why we don't really go into White Relic that often. 1 copy of Dark Ruler No More, because we just need to turn off the field. This deck has issues going second, so you need to have big blowout cards like Dark Ruler No More, because our goal isn't really to kill them. Our goal is to control the game and get rid of their extra deck. And White Knight and Albazoa do a great job of doing that. 2 copies of Nadir Servant, they increase it by 1. This card honestly could be at 3, and the entire format wouldn't change. And then we have Secret Village of the Spellcasters, which just says no spells cards if you control spellcasters. And my entire deck is pretty much spellcasters, including Albazoa. 2 copies of Dogmatika Calamity, which can let us ritual summon using cards from our extra deck. So we just use 1 copy of 5-Headed God Dragon to summon Albazoa, because they're both 12. 2 copies of Dogmatika Cambre. So Dogmatika Cambre lets us ritual summon from the hand or graveyard. Dogmatika Matrix lets us add a ritual Dogmatika monster or spell from our deck to our hand on activation. It's a continuous spell. And if your opponent controls a monster, you can add any Dogmatika card from your deck to your hand. So if this card resolves while your opponent has a card up, you win. You're going to search a ritual monster and whatever card you need, which is you can search out pretty much 2/3 of your deck if your opponent controls a card. So this card is, but you can only activate one per turn. But the thing about this card is its effects are soft once per turn. So you have 2 of them on field and you control a Dogmatika ritual monster, you can snipe 2 cards from their extra deck. So like if you make it to turn 3 and you put a second one of these on board, the game, like you hit so much of their extra deck, there is no hope for them. Unless they are running like a main deck that can get over 4,000 attack. 2 copies of Dogmatika Punishment because this card is an amazing trap card for the deck. And then the extra deck, I pulled another copy of Elder Entity Natis, so we're running triple copies of her. 1 copy of Fossil Warrior Skull Knight. If you don't want to use your copies of Natis, you can use this to destroy a monster. 1 copy of Garura, which when this card sends to the graveyard, we can draw a card. 2 copies of Titaniclad. I'm actually going to replace 5-headed God Dragon. I know it sounds crazy, I'm doing this right now. And this is mostly because Bestials are running rampant right now, and I don't want to give them any fuel, and I have another level 12 that can take his place. Which we're going to use Final Sigma, because Final Sigma is a fire type monster and not a Light and Dark. I know Light and Dark is for the memes, but I don't want to give some of the best cards ever created in Yu-Gi-Oh! Ammunition to summon themselves and search out any dragon monster in the entire game of Yu-Gi-Oh! The 5-headed God Dragon for the viewers. 2 copies of Herald Arclight. 1 copy of Wind Pegasus at Ignister. 1 copy of Psyframe Lord Omega because so the reason why we run at Ignister is because if a card gets destroyed, we can shuffle back a card to extra deck, and Lord Psyframe Omega he lets us recycle our graveyard. 1 copy of Security Gardner and 1 copy of Alan Mirage just for the Divine of the Herald play, and 1 copy of Evil Twins Double Sunny. And let's hop into some games. So right now the best deck of the format is still TR Elements, and TR Elements just added Bestials, and my deck already has a oh great, cool, going second. So if you're curious on other cards I wanted to add to this deck, I wanted to add Ultimate Slayer. Okay, I didn't brick. I've notoriously bricked super hard with this deck. When I was playtesting it, I surrendered like 5 games in a row because I just had the unplayable hands. Card no summon set? No thank you. So Dinomorphias are one of the most annoying decks in all of Yu-Gi-Oh! The way how this deck works is they constantly half their life points, and I think he's going to scoop. You literally cannot let them gain advantage against you. So hopefully this throws them off and they only have like Solemn Judgment or something stupid like that. But unless I top deck something good, I'm about to lose. That's a good card to draw. That's actually almost perfect. Yeah, so first one, activate Nadir Servant, and I'm just going to pop one of his cards right off the bat. Okay, it's going exactly how I thought it was going to go. This might actually be super bad. Yeah, this is probably really bad now. They control. But I do have outs to this. And we're going to add Flordelis to our hand. No, not yet. So this card is Skill Drain. So we have to play around this card. Dino Morpheus is... Yeah, so he's going to fusion summon another copy of it. So there's two issues with this deck. The first issue is I can't activate monster effects with more attack than this monster's, more attack than their current life points. Because I cannot, or they just negate it. So what we're going to do is send, you only use this effect, pay half. Okay. Gonna activate the effects. So here's how we're going to play around it. We're going to normal summon Ecclesia. I can't activate her effect because she has too much attack. But I can activate this guy's effect in hand because they can only be cards I control. And then since this effect activated in hand, I'm going to negate his effect, which prevents me from activating monster effects. And now he is 100% screwed. Because now I have my monster's effects, and I can summon Dogmatika Ecclesia, and he scoops. Let us go. Nah, he was the one who was cooked. I'm literally not allowed to play the game right now. And then this hand would be spectacular going first. This would be one of the best going first hands ever. I'm playing against Fluanderies. No, thank you. I can still win though. That's the worst part about this. That is the worst part. I can still win. I really want to just leave. I still can't believe what I had to partake of last game. The only thing I had to do was draw a singular Dogmatika. This is... I feel like the old version of the deck, I wasn't bricking this hard, and that ran 4 ritual cards. This one runs less ritual cards. What do you add to his hand? The one that lets him normal summon? Cool. You're going to Nadir Servant. He doesn't really care about his extra deck like that, and that's okay. I'm still going to be sniping cards off. Cool. So like my horrible top decking skills. Bro, there's no heart of the cards this video. Honestly, it's whatever at this point. I'm going to normal summon this because he can't negate anything. I think I'll start winning at this point. Activate your field spell. Thank you. Bro, all I have to say, he opened with a 1-of in his deck, in his opening hand. And I opened with freaking garbage and doo-doo, like... The only thing he can do is normal summon another card, but he doesn't have anything. Dogmatika, Albazoa. Okay. Activate Dogmatika Combre. Yeah, I messed up. No, my opponent, even though he can still normal summon a card. Let's see if he activates a graveyard effect. Yeah, I messed up. I could have won. If I would have went for White Knight, I could have got this, or White Relic instead of White Knight. I could have got a card with 2 cards with 4,000 attack. Yeah, normal summon Apex. Card or effect is activated. Yeah, I lost. You know, at one point in time, Uni asked me, why do I play decks that only go first, that are best going first, when I only can when I lose every coin toss. I think right now I'm 4-2 in coin tosses. This is probably Dark Magicians. Only Dark Magicians play Fusion Deployment. Wow, he just discarded Max C and Abyssio. My man is straight. He is on something. He did not have to do this. Yeah, he missed. He has no clue what he's doing. I don't really see the point of Dark Ruler no moring him right now. Because if this is Ash Blossom, it's Ash Blossom in his hand. Oh, double copies of Max C, cool. Well, his deck completely loses to mine. Let's snipe that extra deck. Oh, that's really convenient. Oh, he really doesn't know. He really doesn't know how to play against this. Oh, he doesn't gain Guardian Chimera's effect either. Let's be Lubellion. So he lost a crap ton of cards from his extra deck. How many cards he has left? 5. He started off with 14 and he lost 9 cards. Shame. He has to use Fallen as material. Even if he Brandon and Reds this, it doesn't matter to me. Oh, he already had Brain Diffusion in hand. Your other Mirror Jade, so now you're Mirror Jaded out. And this is how the deck is supposed to go, where you control, make your opponent make a bunch of wrong decisions. Granted, this isn't the best player, but you can see how against most decks, my final just assessment of this deck is that this deck is a good deck when you don't brick. I'm just very prone to bricking, so if you're like me and you brick a lot, you can take out Evil Twins and replace with another extra deck card. There's also, you can increase the Diviner of the Herald to increase the consistency of the deck. There's a lot of things. Take out Secret Village. And honestly speaking, I feel like this deck is really good. Just this format is not kind to it, with Bestials being like front and center, and Branded and Tier Element being the best decks in the format right now. It's really difficult to challenge them when they gain so much advantage off of your cards. This card, Dogmatika Albazoa, is like 2 formats too late. If it would have came out earlier, Dogmatikas probably would have been one of the, like with the original set of Dogmatikas, probably would have been one of the best extra deck or manipulating decks in Yu-Gi-Oh! It's a shame that this Albazoa came super late, and I still think this deck's very fun. I've been playing for like 2 hours now, and not every game's going to make it, but the consistency, even with 9, I have 2, 5, 8, 11 searchers, and technically this is 13 searchers just raw on the deck. I was still not drawing into consistent hands, and you know, it goes with playing rituals inherently, but this deck is definitely not a top tier contender, but it certainly is a lot of fun, and being able to control your opponent's extra deck is super fun. So thank you for stopping by the video, guys. I really appreciate you. Please like, comment, subscribe, and have a great day. Okay, bye-bye.